team, I'm Megan. Welcome to a session where we will be stretching our body from top to toe on our benches. Let's start by standing next to the bench. Feet and legs are together, shoulders are up, back and down. You're hinging at the waist and the arms are reaching to the edge of your bench here. Bend the elbows and start working the heart towards your bench, pushing the hips away. Holding it here for a moment with a nice long flat back and a neutral spine. Then start rocking a little bit forward and back on your forearms. Noticing how that stretches through the hamstrings, the hip and the lower back. On your next one, find your optimum position for your hips. Bring the hands together and the elbows out and bring your ear and the side of your face down to your bench, holding it here. Let the elbow relax forward, and we're going to stretch here for a little while, letting the legs start to get warmer and warmer at the backs throughout the entire hamstrings. Keep the back nice and long and flat. If it's curling up a little bit, pull the abs in and lengthen the spine out. That will deepen the stretch in the hips and the hamstrings. Holding it here. Then we're going to soften the knees, pull in the abs and curl on up. Shoulders coming up, back and down. Now we're taking the leg nearest to the bench, onto the bench, finding our balance, seatbelts on, and we're hinging forward at the hips. Into a stretch for the hip flexors. Squeeze the back glute, squeeze the kneecap and the quad of that supporting leg for a moment. Holding it here. Keep that stretch, keep squeezing the back glute for balance. Hands come together, bending at the elbows. We're bringing the middle finger, then the next finger, then the little finger under the chin. We're breathing in, breathing out, lengthening the elbows, the nose and the chin up to the ceiling. Holding it here for a moment. Then we breathe in, breathe out, go that little bit more. We'll hinge on forward. Fingertips will find the bench and we'll lengthen the front leg out in front of us, toes up to the ceiling. Holding it here for a moment and gradually bend the elbows a little bit so you can get right into the hamstrings of this leg. Holding it here. Maybe both hands touch the bench, maybe your elbows bend. We're aiming to bring the rib cage towards the thighs. We're not aiming to bring the head to the leg. We want a long spine. Belly button in, stretching it here. And we'll breathe in, breathe out, and we'll come back into the standing lunge. Come on up, pressing the hips forward. For that extra bit there. From here, we'll take our hands behind, clasping them. You can bring the hands to the lower back and bring the elbows towards each other, or lengthen the arms away from you, floating up, opening out the chest. From here, we'll come on up, and we'll bring that leg down. We're going to meet on the other side of our bench, so feet and knees together. Up and over, here we are. The other leg is nearest to the bench. Abs are coming in, we're hinging at the waist with long straight legs, reaching for the edge of our bench. Walk the hips away, the feet away if you need to. Lengthen on down with a flat back. The heart is reaching for the bench, holding it here. You can bend the elbows, come on up. And start working through the elbow joints and the shoulders. We're rocking a little bit forward and back until you find your optimum stretch position for your hips, lower back, and the backs of your legs. Then hands come together, elbows open out. We're going to put the side of our face and our ear onto the hands and we'll relax there for a moment. Here we go. Breathing in, breathing out, relaxing down. Breathing in, breathing out. We're coming on up. Soften the knees, come on up. Shoulders up, back and down. You're taking the leg nearest to the bench. The foot comes onto the bench and we're hinging the hips forward. Keep that long spine, keep the chest up. Sometimes it's tempting to curl a little bit like this. We want to be up. Seatbelts are on. Hinging forward here. If you feel like you're losing your balance or it's too easy, squeeze the standing kneecap and quad. Squeeze the back glute. Hinge that little bit further. That'll feel nice. When you're ready, seatbelts pull in before we hinge forward at the waist. Lowering down with a long, straight spine and letting this front leg straighten out. Hands can come on either side of the leg on the bench. Holding it here for that lovely hamstring stretch. If any of these stretches are too easy, check your posture. They will become easier if we lower the head. So we want the challenge of the long spine. Shoulders away from the ears, belly button in. Thinking rib cage to thigh. Another way to enhance any stretch is to squeeze the opposite muscles. In this case, the quad, as well as the kneecap. That will help. Holding it here. You'll notice over time, as we stretch, gravity and our breathing will help us lengthen the spine, lengthen the leg a little bit more. We'll breathe in, we'll breathe out, and we'll come up into the lunge position again, hips forward. Check your balance and seat belts. Check that you're squeezing that back glute. Hands come together and up, and we're working the middle finger, the next finger, the little fingers to the chin. Here we go. Spinal extension here. Breathing in, breathing out. Raising the chin and the nose up. Elbows are up. Opening up the front of the neck. Breathing in, breathing out that little tiny bit more, and then we'll hinge on back and all the way down. From here, we'll take this foot down, and then we'll meet back up on our benches with both feet on the bench, and we'll come into our butterfly stretch. So the soles of the feet find each other. We're balancing on our sit bones there, shoulders away from the ears. Maybe the feet come even closer, and the elbows can gently open up the thighs. Holding it here, just breathing. Wiggle into your stretches whenever you need to. You'll notice that as the joints start to relax, you can wiggle a little and open through the joints that tiny bit more. They feel really warm and delicious through the joints. That's what we like. If you'd like a little more in this stretch, breathe in, breathe out, press the thighs open that tiny bit more. They'll go. The longer we rest here, the more the joints will open up. We can add a little more as well. We can breathe in, breathe out, walk the fingertips forward onto the bench, or maybe you're reaching the edge of your bench. Check the length of your spine. Shoulders away from the ears and long arms reaching. Get that deep opener for the hips, the inner thighs, and the lower back. You can relax into a ragdoll stretch here. Breathing in, breathing out, relaxing through the elbows, the spine, the head. Hang down a little bit and rock a little bit forward and back here. Letting the joints relax. How about finding underneath your bench, lengthening the spine again, shoulders away from the ears, and go that little bit further, bringing the ribs towards the feet. You can do it. Let these feel good. come on up, and we'll bring the knees up. The feet are together. We're coming onto our bench, onto our backs. So feet find the edge of the bench. Abs are in. We're lowering down onto our backs. Check that your head is on your bench. If your feet need to be off of the bench because you're much taller than I am, go for it. The feet can be off the bench. From here, we're going to have a little rock side to side with the hips. Try not to arch the back though. I'm pulling in my abs so that I'm stretching. Now, because I'm not very tall, this is a stretch for my hip flexors, just being on the bench. If you're taller than I am, you could take the feet further away. You could bring the heels down to the floor. Just see how that feels, having a little rock, letting the front of the body open up. From here, we can put our feet one on the bench, one off for balance, or maybe both on the bench, whichever one works best for you and for your height. From there, we're pulling in the abs, lifting the pelvic floor muscles. I keep them on for balance and to help with the right form during stretches. And from here, we're going into a ragdoll stretch. Arms are going to reach down, let them just wiggle open there at the shoulders. And at first, your hands might be facing each other, but as the shoulders relax, they'll open out a bit. Let the shoulders open with gravity here. But check that you're not arching. You're bringing your lower back into the bench. Seatbelts are on. Then we'll come in with both hands. And we're going to bring one in for the deltoid stretch on our backs here. You're guiding a long straight arm across the body, guiding the shoulder away from the ear, holding it here. And then we'll open out. And we'll go to the other side. So check your posture, check the lower back is into the bench, and we're guiding this arm across the body, other arm guides it in. Shoulder away from the ear, your deltoid stretch here. From here, we're opening the arms out, all the way out, and they'll come out to our sides here on the bench. From here, we're walking one thigh in towards the ribs, and we can hold that thigh with the same arm, pulling that in. We're going to take the other arm a little bit under the bench, just reaching on under. My fingertips are here, holding on, and we're doing a little bind there around the back of the bench to open out the opposite shoulder. Here. We'll breathe in, we'll breathe out, and we'll swap sides. That foot comes down. Both arms are holding the bench for a moment. Check posture, check the lower back into the bench before we reach on up. Hug the thigh towards the ribs. Could stay here, holding your bench, hugging in the thigh. Or you can reach this other arm underneath your bench, let it flop down for a moment, and then reach under. Maybe it's hooked under, holding you up, or maybe you're binding it behind yourself on the bench there, opening up the shoulder, holding it here. And now we'll do our glute stretch here for a moment. Check your position before you guide the lower body up towards the upper body, keeping the head, neck, and shoulders relaxed on the bench. You can reach around and hug the thigh in. Using the bench as a base for us to stretch on means that we have to mind our alignment. And our alignment will really help the stretches go into the right place. If we're out of alignment, we'll lose our balance, and we don't want that to happen. So keep on hugging in. You've got it. change legs for the glute stretch on the other side. That foot comes down, other ankle across. Hold the bench with one hand and we're guiding the lower body up to the upper body. Head, neck, and shoulders are down. People often want to come on up, but keep the upper body relaxed while the lower body's heading up. The same hand can come in, find the thigh. Guide it in as you stretch and balance here. And we're going to come on down. We're going to start to work on some thigh openers here. One, we've done before on the floor. Foot across the opposite knee. Same hand is gently pressing the thigh open. There's your thigh opener. Nice for the hip joint in the lower back. Can be tempting to press the knee joint. Please don't do that. That's not good for the joints. Nothing bad would happen today with one press on your joints, but because I tend to do the stretches, I've been doing this type of thing for many years, and I'd like to keep going for many more. I want to make sure I'm pressing on muscle when I'm stretching and pressing, not on a joint. Joints are a little bit fragile. We don't really want to stress them unless when we're stretching. So we'll change sides, lower back into the mat, seatbelts on, and then we press the flesh. Press the thigh where there's muscle and fat, not the joint. Holding it here. We want to keep those joints happy and moving for us for many years to come. Great. How about another variation of that? This time we're going to go into the hip opener and see if you can lift your foot up and take it on or near the floor. And then we're lowering that knee open here. Trying to keep the alignment, keeping flat on the bench, and you might feel it a little more deeply into the hip and the hip flexor here. If it's too much, go back to the original position with the foot on the bench. While we're here, we can take both hands underneath us. Let the hands find each other, and we're holding underneath the bench, opening up the shoulders a bit as well. We'll go back the way we came. So we're breathing in, breathing out, big lift of the leg back. So the foot's back on the bench, and we'll swap sides. Here's the original thigh opener. You can stay here if you prefer, especially if it feels better in your lower back. Otherwise, seatbelts are on, lower back is in and in control. We're lowering this foot down, and then we're opening out the hip flexor and the thigh here. Like I said before, I'm not very tall, so only my toes are on the floor, but if your whole foot goes to the floor, great. Go for the angle that works best for your bench and your height. Relaxing here, you can hold your hips. Keep pulling in the abs. I'm still protecting the lower back. Or you can reach behind, underneath your bench. Open out your shoulders a little bit. Feels so nice through those hip flexors and the inner thigh. This can get so tight when we're exercising or even just driving a lot. That will tighten up the hip flexors. From here, we'll go back the way we came. Hands back onto the bench or the hips. Abs in, we're lifting that foot up. And then down. Then seatbelts on. I'm really pressing the lower back into the bench, holding the bench. It's a small movement. We're rocking the knees and the hips a little bit side to side. Doesn't that feel good? From here, we're on the bench, so we've got some space here for the shoulder. We're going to do 4 really big arm circles there. Even come over on the side of your bench a little bit, and that will let the shoulder open out. Just do these in a relaxed fashion wherever the arm goes. And then we'll do the other way. Nice big circles. 4 in this direction. 4. And we'll go to the other side. I'm going to come over to the side of my bench a little bit. And the arm is going around. However it goes. We just want to work through that shoulder joint. Let the arm relax. And the other way. We're going around. 2, 3, and 4. Then both hands are coming under the bench, finding each other, reaching. Maybe the hands touch, maybe the hands reach a little further for the wrists. Maybe they're walking up your forearms. We're holding our arms together underneath us, under the bench, letting the shoulders open out. And yes, I'm still pressing my lower back into the bench. I've just checked it. Seatbelts are on. Abs are in. As we stretch here, let the shoulders open up. We're taking the face a little bit to one side for the next stretch. And then up and a little bit to the other side. Up. From here we'll release the arms, and now we're bringing both fingertips, both sets of fingertips, both arms towards the ceiling. We're breathing in, breathing out, we're reaching behind us. Maybe your arms are floating in the air. Maybe the biceps will come near the ears. Maybe the fingertips, arms, and biceps will reach past your ears, opening out here, just where it feels good. If you'd like to bring your hands together, and let gravity open up the chest here, and the shoulders go for it. Stretching here. We'll breathe in. We'll breathe out, and we'll come on up. Hands onto the hips. Taking the shoulders away from the ears a few times there. And then we're taking the chin and the nose down south. Pointing the chin and the nose down. We'll breathe in. Breathe out. We'll point the chin and the nose up north. A little bit of a stretch there. Come to the middle. Then we'll take the chin and the nose over to the right for a moment. And up. And then over to the other side for a moment. And up. We're going to come back the way we came. Hold the edge of your bench. Seatbelts on, and we're up. We're taking our hips back a little bit here. All the way back. Give yourself some space. Feet can be flat on the floor or up on the balls of your feet if you need to be. Shoulders away from the ears, and we're coming down onto our elbows. Press the hips back and lengthen the spine. Have a little rock stretch here for a moment. Maybe come forward. I want a little bit deeper of a stretch, so I'm going to come forward so that my feet have to reach a bit further from the ground. Come on forward, long stretch there. Hands on top of each other, elbows out, bringing the sternum, bring the chest to the bench. Stretch here. Then we're walking the heels up and down, up and down. While we're here, work through the feet and the ankles. Stretch the toes out. Stretch the bottoms of the feet. It'll feel glorious in your hips and your lower back as well. Last 3, 2, and 1. And then we're going to come on up, all the way up. Let's take one leg. We'll bend it at the knee, and we'll walk the foot and the leg in line with the knee in front of us. The other foot could be flat on the floor or up on your toes, depending on how tall you are, or maybe even a little bit further back to really stretch. Now we're guiding the hips forward, shoulders up, back and down. We're stretching this glute here, especially the more you sit up, and some of the hip flexor on the other side. Squeeze that back glute to add to the hip flexor there. See how that stretch feels. If you'd like to add a little bit more, Keep the same hand on the ankle and bring up the opposite arm. Reaching for the ceiling, then breathing in, breathing out, reaching up and further back. Here. Come on down. And this time we're taking the front arm behind us. Reach to the back of your bench, maybe hold on. Other arm comes across the thigh and we're up, out of the spine, breathing in, breathing out, twisting to look over that shoulder. You could take the back fingertips here at your side, keeping them behind you and back, or you could reach all the way behind. See how that feels. Open out there, open the ribs and the spine, the chest. We'll come round to the front and we'll swap over. Here we go. Other foot down, other one up, and we're bringing this foot on the shin in line with the knee so that we can sit up on the hip bone here. We're finding a glute stretch there. This foot could be flat on the floor if you need it to be. Could be balls of the foot on the, if you need it to be, it could be further back. The further back it is, the more you'll stretch into both hips. Sitting up. Long spine, here we are. Holding it here for a moment. Squeeze this back glute if you'd like to add to the hip flexor stretch here. While we're here, we'll hold the ankle with the same hand as the ankle. On that side, with the opposite arm, we'll breathe in, breathe out, and lift up. Add a little more, breathing in, breathing out, lifting up and back. Holding it here. We'll come on down and we'll go to our spinal twist here. So you've got one hand coming behind you on the bench, the other one across the thigh, reaching the fingertips that little bit further. They're at your side and they're going back, maybe to the back of the bench. Breathing in, breathing out. We turn and look, guide the shoulder open. Look that little bit further. Holding it here. If you'd like a little bit more, you could bend that elbow and wrap around your back, opening the shoulder out that little bit more. We'll breathe in, we'll breathe out, we'll unwind, keep on unwinding. Here we are, we're coming back with both feet flat on the mat. Check shoulders, check posture, check everything you need to check. Outfit, anything you need to check. And we'll come on up. We're going to do the puppy wag. It's for the spine, for lovely movement through the spine. Feet are flat on the floor. Elbows are coming onto the bench. We're on our forearms here. Seatbelts are on. Long flat back, long neutral neck. You're going to bend the knees a little bit and then you're taking your shoulder towards the hip and your hip towards the shoulder. Then we're straight. Other side. Other hip goes towards the other shoulder. You're picturing your spine moving a little bit side and then long and a little bit side and long. There's your slow motion puppy wag. Last two. Last one. Then we're lengthening through the legs. Squeeze the kneecaps. Squeeze the quads. And then reach across your bench a little bit diagonally away from your hip there. Open out with a flat back, opening the lats. You can start to walk the hands a little bit closer to the screen, really opening up the waist and the lats. Maybe your hand near the screen comes down to your ankle or your foot, and you can press that little bit further into the stretch by lengthening out the spine, chest long and reaching down there. We'll come on up and we'll do the other side. Arms are reaching long to the middle, and then we'll start Working our way over with the arms to the other side, stretching the hip and the lat on that side. Maybe you're reaching a little bit further, keeping the back long. The other hand can come on down, possibly to the leg, holding it here for a moment. We'll breathe in, we'll breathe out, we'll come on up, we'll come back to the middle, bend the knees, pull the abs in, and then we'll curl on up, all the way up. So, I hope you feel much better after that stretch. Check your balance, check where you're sitting here nice and tall, shoulders up, back and around. We'll take the right ear over and up, left ear over and up. Chin on down, chin on up. Shake it all about. Thank you so much for joining me with your benches for a full body stretch. Great work. Have a clap and see you again soon.